Hi guys, welcome to Diets Are Fattening weekly live stream. My name is Meg Moranis. I'm the voice of Diets Are Fattening, and our message here is for weight loss that is permanent and harmonious and feels great and leaves you happy, healthy, and in your happy, healthy weight range. And most importantly, or at least as important, I'm going to say more importantly, with a great relationship with food and eating. So, of course, lots of diets can get you to lose weight. We all know that. But we all also know if you have if you've ever looked at your own personal history or the history of those around you, that what happens is people gain the weight back and they're left even more discouraged than ever. Welcome, you guys who are live with me. Please please feel free to chat a question at me and I will get to it. I'm also going to go through our Facebook groups. I'm on the regular one now. We have a workbook group and a Facebook group, and I'm going to go through some questions that I see here and answer them. So here's a really, I guess a question that I get a lot is, this is a person in our private Facebook group saying, so my doctor told me today that I'm not diabetic, but I'm carbohydrate intolerant. She says my body processes carbs insufficiently and that I should avoid them with a low-carb diet. What does a person do with this kind of information? Okay, hi Ruth Ann. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. I understand that this is just so defeating and so discouraging when you get that kind of information from a doctor. Okay, first of all, I'm going to say, and I will always say, I'm not a doctor, and my forte is that I have been in the diet industry, and I have seen how diets work on you long term. So I never want to replace anyone's doctor, of course, but I can offer my thoughts on Amy. Hi, I will get to that. I love that question. This is how I would interpret that in keeping with a healthy thin mentality mindset. I would say that if you're not, and she's not diabetic, which is great, that if a doctor says you're carbohydrate intolerant, where are they getting that from? What does that even mean? How much nutrition training did they get? I mean, obviously more than I did, but a lot of doctors, and I know a lot of doctors, didn't get any. So maybe if this is a really young doctor, maybe medical school now offers a lot more nutrition. But if it's an older doctor, they got nothing, guys, believe me, unless they went into nutrition or a specialty that was, about food. They didn't get a lot of information regarding nutrition and how to eat and all that. So again, depending upon who she is, her doctor, I think it was a lady, that's just, instead of always reaching out to find out why am I heavy, what program can I do, again, just say, okay, perhaps my doctor is telling my body doesn't process carbohydrates well. Well, let me do some of my own experiments. This is what I would do. Again, I'm going to say it again. I'm not telling you not to listen to your doctor. I'm saying this is what I would do. I would go, okay, perhaps, but perhaps it's because when I eat carbohydrates, I eat so many because I don't usually allow myself them, so my body then can't process them because I'm eating so much at once instead of listening to my hunger. So when you think like that, you go, okay, so let me today, when I get hungry and I crave a carbohydrate, I'm going to have some. I'm going to have a small amount and just check in and see, how do I feel? Am I feeling like, wow, that made me feel really poorly? Okay, then your body is screaming at you not to eat carbs. And that may be something that you have to live with. You guys, we all have bodies which give us different, great things and bad things. Some are prone to some disease, completely separate from food, or some are amazing athletes. You got to deal with what you've got. But before you cut out carbohydrates altogether, again, be your own detective. Okay, wow, no, I felt pretty good after I had like a small bowl of cereal with milk on it. I didn't feel carbohydrate intolerant. I felt pretty good. Okay, well, that's important. Okay, let's say you have some other carbohydrate and you have a bun or whatever and you feel poorly. Okay, well, I'm having that carbohydrate and I feel poorly. So maybe this cereal that I had was a little more complex carbohydrates, and maybe I can tolerate that. Maybe I can't tolerate this. You guys, it's worth the time and effort to go through figuring out what works for you. And instead of just asking your doctor to give you, instead of just relying on your doctor telling you something that maybe they tell a lot of people, say, okay, I'm going to take what my doctor says and I'm going to listen to that. but I'm going to consider that I may discover some things about myself that only I can really learn. Only I, me, Meg, could figure out that, I feel like I've said this tons lately, that in the morning, carbohydrates are my friend, and at 4 in the afternoon or whatever, they're not. So only I could really learn that about myself kind of easily. So I'm just giving you an example. That's something I learned about me, and I apply it to my life, because even if I'm kind of craving a sugary something at 4, I know it's going to make me feel poorly, so I don't eat it. Because why? Because why would I do that to myself? Why do I want to feel bad after I eat? No, I want to feel nourished and good. Everything I say, guys, is just so extremely common sense and so reasonable. It's all the unreasonable messages we have gotten over the years, if you've been a dieter, that you need to shut down and embrace instead your own wisdom, your own beautiful body, and go, that's not for me. Like, there's other things in life that are not for you. For example, I used to love roller coasters, but I hate them now. So I will not go on one because that's not for me. That doesn't mean it's not for you or somebody else or me when I was younger, whatever. But, so it's just like that with food. Hey, that's not for me. And you respect that because it makes you feel poorly if you eat it. And if you think, oh, my body's never going to tell me that something makes me feel poorly, well, please give it a try, because I disagree that your body is your friend, is your ally, has your best interest at heart, right? Because this is your survival. So your body will communicate with you. And if you start listening, guys, if you start giving it some respect, it will start screaming at you. It will tell you what you need to know in real time, and it's great. I'm going to go back to what's the thoughts on your intermittent fasting, time restricting eating, one meal. Okay, right. Amy, I hate that. I hate that because what it does, and ask someone who does intermittent fasting if they don't eat a huge amount of food at one meal, and then they, because they know this is it. I've got to eat it now because I'm not going to eat again for 24 hours or whatever. Think of what that does for you. That disconnects you from the beautiful, amazing, wonderful tool that Mother Nature gave us to know when, what, and how much to eat, which is hunger and cravings. So if you get an intermittent fasting and you put yourself on this schedule, I'm only going to eat, one meal a day at 4 or whatever time, doesn't matter. You don't eat when you are hungry. And then when you aren't hungry after you've already eaten a bunch, but you're still going to eat more because, you got a whole nother day. You eat when you aren't hungry. So you're not eating when you are, and you are eating when you're not. That is not at all what you want your body to get used to. You want the beautiful, beautiful rhythm of waiting for hunger and satisfying it. And I know that there's people out there saying the benefits of intermittent fasting, and I understand that. But it's a huge price to pay, and I don't know if if these benefits are truly tried and really proven, because it's very hard to prove these things long term. So instead of looking at all these other studies outside of you, how do you feel? What do you feel like when you do intermittent fasting? And I'll say again that if you come to intermittent fasting, in other words, going for long periods of time without eating via a healthy thin mentality, that's completely different. And I have said many times, I kind of do that. Me personally, doesn't mean this is what you should do, but I go for a long period of time at nighttime before the next day till I eat, because that's what I like. I like getting up in the morning and I have coffee. And actually, lately I've been having milk in it. I don't know. I go back and forth. And I don't know why. It just doesn't matter. Sometimes I want it. Sometimes I don't. So I guess true fasting is no calories, but whatever. So I love in the morning waiting to feel hunger. I don't want to eat when I'm not hungry. So if you thought about what intermittent fasting is, I personally go a long time without eating between evening and the next day. You may need breakfast. Breakfast may be part of you that is important. Then that's great. If it is, then eat it. But it isn't for me, so I will not. And intermittent fasting puts you in a box like you're just one of a million people or a billion and tells you to do this, this, and this. That's not good enough. We're all different. Maybe some people have ancestry that was developed over thousands of years that they didn't eat a lot. They only ate one time a day, and their bodies ended up evolving to reflect that. And that's what's good for them. Okay, maybe. But is that you? I don't know. Experiment. How do you feel, guys? How do you feel? What is your body telling you? It's really important. So, Amy, if you like the idea of intermittent fasting because you've heard a lot of buzz about it, and I have too. Oh, your body does all these healing things. Okay, but if you are eating the appropriate amount of food for your happy, healthy weight range, your body's going to have time to do all the healing things too. It's if you are eating way more than your body's actually asking for, then it's very busy metabolizing all that food. That's true. I always come back to this point, which I know some people don't like, but I feel like it's to be in your happy, healthy weight range in general, not comparing this person to this person, but in general, is a good place to be for your health, because you do have to process less food than if you were overweight and eating a lot more food. And you do have more energy, I believe, I've noticed with me, if you're in your happy, healthy weight range. So it's a reasonable goal. So anything you're looking at, intermittent fasting or anything you are judging for yourself, keep the logic cap on and not the desperation, but I really need to lose weight. That's going to make you make choices that are not good for you, that are based on stress and hurry up and I got to fix this now. A healthy thin mentality is about a lifelong solution, and it is not a gimmick. It is so reasonable. Keep thinking, like when you're not listening now or you're thinking about this later, you're going, everything she says is pretty reasonable, right? I'm telling you that the way to your naturally best body is to eat via the natural cues that your body wants to give you, and in following that, and not just, well, it's so easy. You guys actually, and someone wrote this in our Facebook group, which was a really great point, that it's just so easy to say, okay, well, I'm going on a diet, because you feel like you're doing something. It feels like an action plan, but that action plan is just a crutch. It's not doing anything for you except getting you in that mindset. Okay, now I've got a plan. Now I'm going to do something. Okay, how many times have you done this? Look around you. Who's having long-term success with this? Oh, with this one person over here that you know? Okay, one person, and then behind closed doors, you do not know what they're doing. You do not know their life with food. So don't judge based on if you like one person in your life, or you see someone on Instagram with a great body and you're like, I'm going to do what he's doing or she's doing. You don't know the whole story, but you do know your own. Keep focusing on you. Stop looking out there. Focus on you and your common sense and your knowledge of who you are, what you like, and what you think feels good, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel nourished. And that's how you get to your happy, healthy weight range with your healthy thin mentality that is not something that comes and goes. It's with you for the rest of your life. And it is powerful. It enables you to focus on other more important things in your life, but with the lessons you learn from your healthy thin mentality are completely applicable to other parts of your life, which is really great. It's you being in charge of you. It's you understanding that you are unique, that you have needs that are just yours, and you getting to know yourself instead of judging yourself by behavior that you may have around food or around anything else, with not understanding that that behavior that you have, overeating or whatever kind of food behavior you have, may in fact be a result of you listening to propaganda. Yeah, diet propaganda, instead of you actually following who you are. And I want you to follow who you are, because who you are is so much better than that. And again, as a dieter for a very long time, I thought so many negative things about me and my relationship with food. I thought, oh, well, you're just a big eater. Oh God, you would just eat all day if you were left to your own devices. You would eat all day, because look at you when you're not on a diet. All you want to do is eat. Okay, but it's because I just left a diet, right? The diet breaks you. You don't break your diet. That's a quote I love that quote, and I don't say it enough. Yeah. People, I broke my diet. No, your diet's breaking you. It's breaking your relationship with food and eating. Thank you, Sophia. My question, how would you describe being satisfied versus full? I still struggle with overeating, even though I eat mostly when hungry. Okay. Think about hunger and satiety like this. Hunger is when you feel something. You feel your body requesting food. You have physical, but also, yes, also even emotional, like, oh, I really need to eat now. it's not just your stomach growling. It's not just your mouth watering. It could be just you feel grumpy. And sometimes that for me is a need for food. There's all these signals. Again, you have to take a moment. And in our workbook, we have a chapter on this where you learn what your hunger cues are. You can discover this by just paying a little bit of attention instead of, where's this book? This book says this and this. No. Pay attention to you. And when you get there and this is my hunger signal. And instead of thinking as full, this helped me a lot in the beginning, think of absence of hunger, okay? And I want to be careful because words are really important in the way I phrase things and the way you phrase things in your own head. Because for some people, satiety is they're not quite finished eating. Like I've had conversations with people where they're like, well, I try to eat till I'm satiety. I hit satiety, but I'm hungry really soon after that. Okay, well, maybe you're not quite there. So pardon my dog. So just focus on when you're just learning how to do this is just gently getting yourself to where hunger is gone. Hunger is quiet. In other words, instead of making your body send you full signals, which means mostly for me, if my body's sending me full signals, that's overload. I just want my body to not be sending me hunger signals anymore. That's to me where satiety is. If you have to change the way you breathe or, under your pants or something, that's too much. Your body is going, oh my God, stop. And I know that sometimes when I say that people go, well, that's not going to be very much food. First of all, you don't know that. Give yourself a chance to learn who you are and how much your body needs to eat. And secondly, remember, you can eat whenever that hunger comes back. And especially in the beginning, but even now, there's plenty of times, probably at least 3 or 4 times a week where I eat and I'm not quite sure. I mean, hunger is quiet, but I'm not quite sure. And you'll discover this about you too. So I kind of leave a little food out, or I don't put it all away. I work at home, so, I can do that, but there's ways to get around all of this. Your circumstance can always be overcome with a healthy thin mentality. But and so then I just say, well, I'm going to stop eating now because I'm pretty sure hunger's gone. I don't really feel that drawn to the food anymore, but I'm going to leave this out because I'm not sure. And then you go back, have a couple more bites, and you feel great, and you move on with your day. Just give yourself a chance to be finished eating with the knowledge that if I'm wrong, I can eat more. But if you're wrong and you've eaten too much, there's really nothing you can do, right? So you don't want to put yourself in that. Always leave yourself with the option of eating more if you need more, not having overeating. So, now, okay, and it's fine. And when you're new, you're like, I talk about this in the book too, that you're like a little kid learning to walk. Do not beat yourself up if you trip, because you're going to trip because you're new at this. But you will get on a roll and you will understand that the reinforcing you do every time you connect eating with hunger builds. It's not like a diet where you kind of build, but then you just crack and it all caves in. It's not like that. With a healthy thin mentality, you get stronger and stronger. You don't get a diet always left me tense, I'm just going to break. I don't know how much longer I can take this. Healthy thin mentality is calm. It's peaceful. It's yeah, yesterday I did that and I felt really good, and this is how I feel today. And it's positive. It's happy. It's good. I promise. Okay. Let me see. Okay, Ruth Ann. A little fat or protein helps slow down the process of carbs, less sugar spike. I know that scientifically that's been proven to be true. And I know for me that I feel that too. So it maybe work for you guys, for everyone, maybe it just works for half of us, who knows? But try it. Say, wow, if I eat some bread with jelly on it, I just feel that carb, I don't feel great. But if I put butter or peanut butter on it, I feel really good. Well, take that information, okay? Some carbs with some fat on it, I process really well. Yes, you guys, do these experiments. And I know that, this is easy for scientists to test because they can put it in one person's body or several and see how it breaks down. It's not like studying a dieter, because dieters, they rely on self-reporting for diet studies, and those are always bogus, guys. They're always bogus. No one's going to tell the truth, and I don't blame them. So, but this kind of a study, it's easier for scientists, researchers to get right. So yeah, definitely experiment. If you want to have carbs and you think that, if I eat fat on them, I feel better, do it. do it. Of course, it's like anything in your life. If you notice something works for you, you go, yeah, that works for me. I like going to work at 7:30 because I feel like if I go at 7:45, I hit all the traffic, right? You're taking care of yourself. Food is the same way. Take care of yourself. My opinion on nutritionists is, this is going to sound rotten, but I've met a lot of heavy nutritionists. That's my opinion on nutritionists. That sometimes, and I had someone on Instagram, no, she wasn't a nutritionist, but she made the remark, and I really agreed with her, that a lot of young women, this is a real generalization, don't get me on this, I know it's a generalization, go into nutrition to solve their own problems with food. And that's understandable, but that's not everyone, and you guys who are out there, nutritionists, I'm not demeaning the whole field, but I'm saying there's definitely a portion of people who do that. Our issue isn't nutrition. No one's walking around with rickets. And you could say, oh, but the heavy people frequently are malnourished. Okay, but they're also heavy. So let's get people in a mode where you eat when you're hungry and don't eat when you're not, and get the quantity of food in order. And when you pay attention to your healthy thin mentality, you will crave amazingly nutritious food, as well as some cake and cupcakes too. You'll crave both. You will get plenty of nutrition. Nutrition isn't that complicated. If you look at all the studies that come out on top, they're all the same. It's lean protein, lots of grains, and high, complex carbs, and occasionally some dessert. They all say that. That's always it, whether it's the Mediterranean or whatever. Now, keto doesn't say that, but that's a ridiculous diet that no one's going to do the rest of their lives, so I didn't pay attention to that. Keto is the worst. Keto is the worst. Extremely fast weight loss followed by extremely rapid weight gain and carbohydrate intolerance, meaning that as soon as you eat a piece of bread, you gain all the water weight back, which makes you feel bad because you hop on your scale and you're way heavier. Believe me, I know because I did this more than once, probably 5 times. You're like, oh, I'm doing keto, losing weight. Then you eat, one sandwich. Oh, it's a turkey sandwich, just a little bit of bread. And the next day you're up 3 pounds. You're like, what the heck is this? Right. Okay, I don't want to get started on keto. I do plenty of talks about keto. But nutritionists, we don't need that. We need to connect eating with hunger and eat things that we feel in our bodies will nourish us. And our bodies are all different. So that's really important that we recognize that and we take the nutrition that works for us and we remember it. It's like sometimes I think when people are heavier dieters, and this for sure was true for me, you get in a feeling where you're like, well, I don't even know if I deserve to worry about food because clearly I'm carrying extra weight, and but you do. Don't dismiss that you need good nutritious food, that you need to think about it, you need to plan your food because you feel heavy and I don't need food because look at me. No, that's so sad and so negative. And yeah, I said that to myself. So don't feel that way. Instead go, no, I'm going to take care of myself now. I'm going to really pay attention to what makes me feel good. I'm going to really pay attention to hunger and lack of hunger. And I'm going to take care of myself, and healthy thin mentality also is very respectful of fatigue. If you're tired, guys, go to bed. Well, okay, I can't because my life is like this and this and this. Okay, we'll work very hard to change that because sleep is really important. And I don't say this enough either. It's much easier to do your healthy thin mentality when you're rested. When you're rested and your body is at nice equilibrium with rest, you are better able to hear the other voices that you have. So prioritize it. Oh, you say you can't. Well, I know. I had 3 little kids too. And I'm not saying I was great at it then, but you can choose activities and a schedule. You have some choices there and do the best you can. And if you're a single parent or you have to work 2 jobs and your kids, then just hang in there. Hang in there. Things will get better. They always, if you're going through a bad time, keep going, right? Just keep going but have in your head to rest when you can because it's really important. It makes everything easier. We had chocolate-covered food from Edible Arrangement. I eat some, which I rarely eat. Usually I would still go to lunch because it was lunchtime, but I didn't. Yeah, that's great. That's exactly right. And, that was probably really delicious, and you probably really enjoyed it. And, yeah, and then what you did there is you stayed in the moment. You were hungry when you ate them, and then you weren't hungry, and then lunch came around, but you weren't hungry then, so you didn't think about the past or the future. You're like, well, now it's lunch, but I'm not hungry, so it would be irrelevant for me to eat now. It's not relevant to me. I know the clock says noon, but my eating is not tied to the clock. My eating is tied to my body and what my body is requesting. And I know you guys, it's hard to believe, and I would not have believed this either, but you actually can go out with people and sit at a restaurant and not eat if that's something that you're worried about doing. When you have a healthy thin mentality strong, which you will, keep going, which you will, then you get into that really, you will get to a situation where overeating is completely undesirable. And you will go, you know what? I'm not doing it because I care too much about my next experience being great. So I stay in this moment. I'm not hungry because I know that when I connect eating with hunger, my food experiences are so amazing and my body looks and feels better. And that is huge, huge, huge reinforcement. My nutritionist asked me if I have cravings and if I wanted an appetite suppressant. Oh, yeah. It's funny because on this YouTube thing, they suppressed this comment because of the phrase appetite suppressant. I'm sure that's what it was because, yeah, they know what a crock that is, right? Sorry, that's pretty harsh, but no, you don't want an appetite suppressant. You want to be hungry. It's a beautiful part of life. Do you want to suppress your sex drive too and your urge to go to the bathroom? No, you need these things. You need these things. So no, you don't want that. You do. Yeah, that's really cruddy. I'm sorry to hear that. I really don't like that. People are afraid of their hunger. You don't want to be afraid. You want to make friends with your hunger. And if you say you're hungry all the time, no, you're not. You think you are because of your food experiences in the past, but you want to maintain that beautiful feeling of hunger, and you want to grow it. You want it to bloom because when it does, you get to eat, and it's fantastic. It's one of the best parts of life. Yes, it is. And just because people who are heavier do not enjoy food more than people who are not. Naturally thin people, which I don't count myself as. I count myself as a healthy thin mentality person because I had to go through all that dieting. I was naturally a thin person, as most of us are when we were born. But I had to rebuild my natural thinness with my healthy thin mentality. So what I'm saying is people who are naturally thin their whole lives enjoy food really a ton. People who build their healthy thin mentality do as well. But you might look at someone who's really heavy, you might say, well, they really enjoy their food. Well, maybe, or maybe every time they eat, they feel terrible because they're stressed and they think they shouldn't be eating and all that. Right. Well, that could be. And I just implore you to believe that you can have the body that you want to be in, your healthy, happy weight range that you choose for yourself, and still love food and have a great relationship with food and cook. And so I'll tell you a quick little thing to really make you understand this. So there's this dessert that I hadn't made in a long time, and I made this past weekend. It's really good. They're called Ooey Gooey Butter Cakes, and it's a Paula Deen recipe. You don't see much of her anymore, but this is an old recipe that I had. And, it just I'm still so happy that I have a healthy thin mentality because my mouth is watering thinking about them because they're really good and I am hungry. But anyway, when I was making them, I didn't eat while I was making them, which I used to when I was a dieter because I just couldn't stand it. But your focus is when I make this, I'm going to sit down. You don't have to sit down, but that's what I said to myself at that moment. It's going to be so good. I'm going to enjoy it so much. So your enjoyment and your anticipation of it is so high. The joy factor is so big that when you actually eat it, you don't need to eat a ton of it because it's the joy and the pleasure is so great that there's just when I was a dieter, I would have eaten half of them seriously, and then I wouldn't have eaten or I would have gone on some stupid diet to pay that back. But when you have a healthy thin mentality, you can bake, you can cook, you can have a great relationship with food, you can eat what you make. You're just not gonna eat it all at once. You're gonna make your favorite dessert. That's probably my favorite dessert, and eat it and wow, that was really good. And you're going to move on with your day. And that's what we're trying to do here. Yeah, the appetite suppressant cost a bunch of dough. Yeah, that's just rotten. I'm sorry. I really don't like that. So, okay, guys, thank you for these great questions. I'll be back next week. And I know we have a big holiday in between then and now. When you're sitting there at Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate, just keep saying, hey, it's food. I love food. And it's right there. And it's mine. Whether I eat it and put it in my body or right here, I can have this food. I just can't have it all at once. If I want to build my healthy thin mentality, I'm going to enjoy it when I'm hungry. And there's no deprivation. Dieters fear deprivation because we've been left hungry, and that's really awful. There's no deprivation. This is my food, whether it's in my body or right here. Then if it's in my body when I'm not hungry, that's not great for my body. My body doesn't like that. My body feels poorly, and then I don't get to use that beautiful hunger up because now I've kind of eaten without hunger, and so now hunger is not going to come for a while, and I never get that great feeling of eating with hunger. You can do this, guys. I promise you can do this. And so anyway, thank you so much for being here. I will be back next week. I'll try to do another one in between. And comment, please like, share, subscribe. All that great stuff really helps our channel. And I'm, really committed to helping as many people as I can to stop the misery of dieting. And it's not good for you because it leaves you feeling depleted. And when you gain the weight back, you know how that feels. Yeah, I did that many times. All right, guys. See you soon.